The Pregnacare Show is proudly brought to you by
Spretonic,
Florence Formula.
Human immune deficiency virus is the virus that causes the acquired deficiency syndrome. During pregnancy, HIV Aids may pass through the placenta to the unborn baby during labor and delivery, and also through breastfeeding in some cases. If you are a woman living with HIV Aids, taking your antiretroviral drug correctly, as during pregnancy and breastfeeding, can virtually eliminate the risk of passing on the virus to your baby. Research has shown that about 2.8% of pregnant women live with HIV Aids. Remember, taking your drugs correctly is the best gift you can give to that child. Give a child love, laughter, and peace, not HIV Aids. The risk of mother-to-child transmission of HIV Aids in pregnancy, delivery, and breastfeeding is about 25 to 30% according to a research in the absence of treatment. But in the presence of treatment, the risk of transmission is very low, and that is a good news. But then, how would pregnant women cope with this? How would couples accept this moment? And how safe are our babies? You are welcome to the Pregnancy Care Show. On today's episode, we'll be looking at everything HIV Aids in pregnancy. My name is Dede. The show is brought to you by Florence and Spretonic. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, we have a midwife with us, a very beautiful one, of course. She's going to take us through HIV Aids in pregnancy on today's episode. Hello, madam.
Hello, Dede.
You're welcome to the Pregnancy Care Show.
Thank you.
So for the sake of our viewers, we want to know your name, what you do, and where you work.
Okay. I'm Eunice Fianco Asare, a midwife at 37 Military Hospital.
Okay, so welcome again to the show.
Thank you.
So we have Madam Eunice with us. She'll be taking us through HIV Aids in pregnancy. We'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, the show still continues. Welcome back. If you just joined us, it's still the Pregnancy Care Show brought to you by Florence and Spretonic. So Auntie Eunice, when we are talking of HIV Aids in pregnancy, what do we mean by that?
HIV is a virus that attacks your blood, and when it happens, they capitalize on your immunity, and then they drop your immunity so low that you start getting other diseases, opportunistic infections takes over your body, and then you'll be getting sick, and then finally you can pop off. You can die if you are not on medication. And it is a very serious condition that you can acquire through blood, through body fluids, or coming in contact with membranes that are exposed to the virus. Okay, so those are ways at which somebody can get infected with the HIV Aids. Okay, so today we are actually basing it on pregnant women. So we are going to talk a lot about pregnant women living with HIV Aids. So when someone comes probably for antenatal, I know you run series of labs. Yeah. Then let's say this woman, she didn't know she has HIV. Through the labs, it's been discovered that she has HIV. How is it like for them? How do they cope with it after you break the news to them? Okay, so as part of the counseling, or before we do the routine labs for them, we take them through what is called pre-counseling. Okay. And in that, we tell you all you need to know about the various labs that you're going to do, the effects, the importance it is that you do those labs, and then the effect of it if you have any condition and it is not taken care of. So you are in a way psychologically prepared before we do the test, and per your permission, if you grant us to do the test for you, we just go ahead and then do the test and we give you the results. Life is very normal for them if you have been diagnosed and you are put on medication and you are adhering to your medications.
Okay.
With that, she lives a very normal life like any other pregnant woman, and she gives birth to a very healthy baby if she adheres to her medications.
Okay. Is there a difference in care for an HIV woman and one who has no HIV during your antenatal care? Is there a difference in care?
Basically, there's not much like, the difference is not much, just that for an HIV positive mother, you would want to make sure that she comes or she adheres to her antenatal schedules, she takes her medication, and you don't do that alone. Sometimes you also refer them to other paramedics like the nutritionist, the psychologist. You add them, or you do a total care for them. So that may be the difference. But aside that, because in as much as possible, we don't want to discriminate or stigmatize people living with HIV. You don't give them any special treatment, but then you make them know that these additional care may be necessary for them to be taken very good care of during their pregnancy period.
So how do you break the news to someone who is HIV positive?
The person, of course, had gone through pre-counseling.
Okay.
So she knows that the result is either positive or negative. So once you do the test, you congratulate the person for having the patience to wait for the results. And then you go straight ahead to announce, to break the news. Congratulations for waiting for the results to be ready. Your results are out and the result is positive. The result is negative. You don't go rigmaroling and then making the patients anxious for nothing. You just go ahead and then break the news as it is to her, so that she doesn't get too worried and too anxious for anything.
Aren't you worried she could do anything to herself? Being positive, just coming in, probably you've cancelled her, the test is done, and you are telling her she's positive. Don't you think it affects her? Don't you think she could do anything to herself? Do you consider those psychological effects? Yes.
Some people, after hearing the news, may be so shocked that they may probably start crying, or there's a denial. They may deny that, no, I mean, it can't possibly be me. I can't have HIV. So in that case, you continue counseling the person that this is not the end of the world for her. Once she adheres to her medications, she's going to be a very normal person who can carry a very healthy pregnancy, and she'll go through pregnancy safely and would give birth to a very bouncy, healthy baby.
So at what stage of the pregnancy does she start the antiretroviral drugs?
Immediately it is diagnosed.
Okay. Does those drugs have any effect on the baby she's carrying?
Not that has been recorded yet.
Okay.
So far, we don't know of any effects of the drugs on the baby in utero.
So what's the benefit of the drug to the baby and the mother?
Okay, so the drug is to help boost your immunity, because the virus that has attacked you is fighting your immunity in the first place. So these drugs are coming in to help boost your immunity, in addition to eating well, doing exercises, being well hydrated. So all these come together to ensure that your immunity is boosted up well to carry you and the pregnancy in a very healthy state. So it's a good thing for them to be on the medication to make sure that the baby and the mother are very healthy throughout the pregnancy period.
Okay, but could there be in any case that the virus could be transmitted to the baby during the period of pregnancy? Maybe if the woman is not on drugs, because you were saying that the drug helps to reduce her risk of transmitting to the baby. So in cases where she's not adherent to her medications, is it possible to transmit HIV to your unborn baby?
Yes, it is possible to transmit the virus to your unborn baby through the placenta.
Okay.
That is somebody who is not on medication, and then the viral load is very high. There's a statement that if your viral load is undetectable, then it's untransmissible. So if you're on your medications, you're eating well and everything is good, there's a likelihood that your viral load will be very low. Okay. So in that case, you will not transmit the virus to your unborn baby, and that's why we counsel them and make sure that they adhere strictly to their medications.
So what is viral load, as you just said? What do you mean by that?
So the viral load is a test that is run to know the number of copies, the RNA copies of HIV in the blood.
Okay.
So if you have too much of the virus, then obviously your viral load is going to be very high. And that would mean you can easily transmit the disease to your unborn baby. Okay, so if it's low, that means? The viral load is low. And that is what we are looking at. For it to be undetectable, you understand? Okay. And it's only when you're on your medications, you're taking it, have your viral load coming down. So, is there a preferred mode of delivery for pregnant women? I know you have the CS and the normal delivery. As a health worker, do you have preferred means for them, or they could go to any of the processes? Like I initially said, a woman with HIV is treated just as any other woman who doesn't have HIV. Okay. And if all the parameters are fine and her viral load, which is a test that is run before she gives birth, is low, or she's on medication and we know that she's been on the medication and strictly adhering to it, then of course and there's no indication for CS, like the CPD, or the baby's head is bigger than the pelvis, the baby is big, and because of that the baby can't probably pass through the pelvis. Then we have, or there's severe preeclampsia, her BP is very high. Then that one, you have an indication for CS, in addition to the fact that she's HIV positive. Okay. But aside that, if all parameters are fine and she doesn't have any indication for CS, then she can normally go through, she can just go through normal delivery and have her baby spontaneously. A baby born to an HIV mother, is the baby put on any medication right from birth? Yes. So when and what medications? Before the baby is born, as the mother goes taking her ARVs, she takes the syrups for the baby as well. That is when she's almost 10. So she brings it, and that medication is given to the baby before she even starts breastfeeding. That is, if breastfeeding was an option for her, she decides that, okay, I want to breastfeed my baby. And we are in Africa. So once you give birth and you are not breastfeeding, people will start asking questions. So we encourage them to know the reason why. These are part of the reason why you should take your medications, and then so that if your viral load is very low, you can breastfeed your baby and the baby will not get the infection. So after the medication, you would also run a test for the baby, and they have schedules, periods that at every time they do the PCR for the baby to ensure that baby is still negative and remains negative. Oh, okay. So from what you just said, there are options for feeding. The mother can make a choice, either I'm breastfeeding or I'm feeding. When it comes to the breastfeeding, do they do mixed feeding as from the start, or they could do exclusive, get to a point, stop? We want to get a little of the feeding when it comes to the baby. Okay, so when it comes to the feeding of the baby, as part of the counseling we give them and the education we give them, you decide which of them you want to do. You either strictly do exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months, or you do strictly formula for 6 months or beyond. We don't advise that you do the mixed feeding. Okay. Mixed feeding is not advised during if you have such a condition. So it's either strictly exclusive breastfeeding for the baby for the first 6 months, still on the medication, or formula for the baby for the rest of the baby's life till baby is weaned off formula or breast milk. Okay. So for you to have a healthy baby, even with HIV infection, the best you can do is to take your HIV medications. Make sure you take them, eat well, speak to your doctor, and you have a healthy baby, even with HIV in pregnancy. We'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll read our comments from our social media handles.
Are you a mother? Are you trying to conceive? Have you had challenges with conception? Do you have a story to share? We are dedicated to helping you solve your problems. Join us on your favorite pregnancy care show and share your experiences with us.
Se oba ne nyema ade ehia pa ese oye ne se won hye na bufu In my first pregnancy, I expected that my body would go through some changes. Yes, and then at the end of the changes, I was expecting to deliver a baby safely.
Remember, sharing is caring, and your experience will encourage and help someone. Contact us on 050-166-1330 or send a message to all our social media platforms at The Pregnancy Care Show, and we will get back to you.
Florence Formula is a liquid herbal iron extract with the benefits of organic iron-3 polymaltose plus vitamin C and other B-complex vitamins, the base of fruit juices and yeast. Florence Formula helps increase your energy level, stamina, and highly nutritional, and also reduces tiredness and fatigue. It contains vitamin B1, B2, B6, B12, and C. Florence Formula helps keep the family smart, healthy, and strong. For enquiries, contact Unicom Chemist Limited on 0302 324 595 or 0302 324 383. You can also email unicomchemist@yahoo.com or visit www.unicomchemist.com. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, it's still the Pregnancy Care Show, and on today's episode, we are looking at HIV AIDS in pregnancy. So let's go on our social media handles and take the questions from our viewers. So our first question is, how safe are other clients when managing HIV AIDS patients in pregnancy? So Auntie Eunice, that is our first question from a viewer.
As part of midwifery practice, you'd have to use the standard precautions. And when you're doing that, it's very difficult to transmit or infect another person with the infection, because then you are wearing your gloves, you're washing your hands before and after coming in contact with any client, you are cleaning your work area, you are decontaminating your linen, you are disposing of your sharps very well. You are not likely to, infect, because then you are making sure that you're taking care of whatever infection or whatever virus that may be in your working area, so you don't go transmitting it to somebody else.
Okay. So our next viewer is asking, any effect of HIV on pregnancy?
Yes. If you are an HIV mother or pregnant woman and you don't take your medications, then in that case, the virus is going to be so much in your system, you can actually even abort, you can lose your child, you can be bleeding, because already you are not healthy. And pregnancy in its state takes it takes a toll on yourself and your immunity. So if you want to have a very healthy pregnancy, you just have to stick to or adhere to your medications and take them as you've been directed to. Okay.
So our last viewer is asking, can I breastfeed and what are my options and how should I breastfeed? I think you've spoken about this, but maybe you can enlighten us more on that.
Yes, she can. If you're an HIV positive mother, you can freely or confidently breastfeed your child, and you're going to be educated on how to latch baby well to breast so that you don't get cracked nipples, you don't get the milk getting clogged in your breast and nipples. So good positioning, you the mother eating well, exercising, drinking a lot of water to stay very hydrated are some of the things you would be encouraged to do so you can easily and confidently breastfeed your child. And one other thing, you don't go rubbing the baby's mouth to probably break the mucosal lining in the baby's mouth, because that may be another thin area where transmission can occur. Okay,
so what of someone with cracked nipples, probably the stain of blood in their milk? What does she do?
If your nipple is cracked and you're on your medications once again, then we still know, or we have the confidence that your viral load is low. And like I said, if the viral load is undetectable, then you are very likely not to transmit the infection to your baby.
Okay, so let's say a client walked to you probably during the state of pregnancy. She has come to do the HIV test. It's positive. You've informed her. but according to her partner is not HIV positive. So please don't tell my partner or don't tell my husband. You as a health worker, what do you do? Do you tell this client's partner or you keep to her part of the deal?
There's a limit to which you can do that, and that is disclosure. So as part of your counseling, you encourage the client in as much as possible, even if the partner is a person that she doesn't want to disclose to, there should be a support person, maybe a sister, an in-law, a friend that she can really trust, because such a person is going to play a role in her medications. She's going to be a reminder, help her, it's time for you to take your medicines. Let's go, like, do it. So if she doesn't want to disclose to the husband or to the partner, it is not for you to go ahead and do it. You need to respect that decision. It's her decision, and that should be respected. So you don't go ahead, but then you keep hoping that per your counseling, and if it's beyond you, then you can refer her to the public health department or to other paramedics who are specialized in that area for them to continue counseling her till she accepts to let her partner know, so that you can do the treatment or you can care for the two of them very well for them to stay strong and healthy. Then
again, aren't you still worried about her partner infection?
Yes, you will be, but then you need to respect your client's decision. Patient's rights.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So you just have to continue counseling her. You remember, you don't impose on the client. You don't force her to. She would have to come up on her own at her own time to break the news to the partner. So you encourage her to take her medications, because then if her viral load goes low, remember, undetectable, untransmissible. So it's all about sticking to her medications and making sure that the viral load is low.
Since you are talking about HIV infection in pregnancy, so it's mostly the woman that she has come for antenatal, she's been tested. What of the partner?
Yeah, so per our counseling or during the counseling, we let them know that if you come out positive, there may be the need for your husband to also be invited to run the test. And that is when you do the disclosure. You disclose your status to your partner. So once you are able to do that disclosure, there are times that people come, you test them, they are positive. They are very confident. I mean, it's okay for them to tell their partners. So they go and tell their partners, and they come back to the clinic with their partners to have the test run on them as well. So it makes the treatment for the two of them very easy.
So let's say a client who is HIV positive and you've done a test on the husband or the partner and he's negative. I learned there's a medication or something they are put on, pre-exposure prophylaxis. What is that? And how effective is that? What does it do?
Pre-exposure prophylaxis are the medications or the treatment that we give somebody who has been exposed to the virus, maybe through blood or a sharp or a blade or a needle or body fluids. At that point, you do the test first, and then you put the person on the prophylaxis, just to make sure that if it's there, it doesn't get to increase in the blood. Fine. And we do have health workers who are put on these prophylaxis because
she's been pricked by a needle of an unknown.
Exactly.
Have you been in that situation before? Or
never. I pray it doesn't happen to me. But then I've seen people who have to go for the prophylaxis because they've been exposed. And that is why we say that apply your standard precautions on everyone. You know, sometimes when you are so cautious of yourself that this is an HIV client, I need to be very careful, and then you end up pricking yourself. There was an instance where one client came to the lab because they knew that she was positive. Somebody got pricked. That same client went to the ward. On the ward, whichever midwife or whichever nurse was taking care of her, some way, somehow got pricked because the person was trying to be extra careful. The baby that the woman gave birth to, those nursing the baby at the NICU, the doctor got pricked with a needle. So one patient, 3 people or 4 people taking care of her had to be pricked by a needle because they were being overly conscious. But if they were applying the standard precautions, you wouldn't be too worried whether this is a patient who has HIV or this is a patient who doesn't have HIV. You do it across for everyone, and psychologically you are cool and you are safe, and you give your nursing care as you're supposed to give to the client with no worries.
Okay, so I think that is a good one. So as a midwife or a nurse, don't be too cautious of all that, but just make sure you put in what you are supposed to do and do it rightly. Then again, you are safe. Remember that HIV in pregnancy does not mean the end of your life. We'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll look at some tips on today's episode.
Yo, Kojo, you look happy and strong.
Yeah, Charlie. But I couldn't have done it without you, you know. Madam was always complaining. But ever since you introduced me to Spertonic, life has been good.
Spertonic helps boost the immune system, fitness level, and performance. A tablet a day is all you need, man.
Spertonic. Strong as a wood. For inquiries, contact Unicom Chemist Limited on 0302 324595 or 0302 324383. Email info@unicomchemist.com.
Spertonic is not suitable for persons under 18. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back. Let's look at some tips for today's episode. Taking your antiretroviral correctly during pregnancy will highly protect you and your unborn baby from infection and also help to boost the immune system. Get tested for HIV Aids as soon as you get pregnant so as to know your status and safety. Make it a paramount effort to keep monitoring your viral load and CD4 cell count frequently. Start your antiretroviral as early as possible when you test positive for HIV Aids. You are encouraged to eat well to keep your immune system strong. Speak to your healthcare provider of any difficulties. Try as much as possible to keep your family safe from any means of transmission. Speak to your doctor or midwife on breastfeeding options. So those were some tips for today's episode. So Auntie Eunice, what will be your final words to our viewers, to our pregnant women, to anybody living with HIV? Can you look into the camera and give us all that?
Being pregnant and having HIV, it's not the end of the world. Like we said, all the person will have to do is to stick to taking her medications. And if that is done, trust me, she will be as healthy as any other pregnant woman. She's going to have a healthy baby who can confidently breastfeed her baby, because we are in Africa. So if you deliver and you're not breastfeeding your baby, people are going to ask questions. But if you adhere to your medications and you're taking them correctly, you can breastfeed your baby and nobody's going to ask questions. Your baby won't be infected if your viral load is undetectable. And you're going to be happy, your husband will be happy, you, the mother, will be happy. Happy baby, happy mother, happy family, happy midwife, and a happy Ghana.
Oh, okay. So thank you so much for coming on our show. We are hoping to see you much more.
Thank you, Dede.
So the paramount is taking your antiretroviral drugs for a healthy you, healthy family, healthy baby, and even a healthy midwife and a healthy nation as well. Thank you for watching today's episode. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, can you leave them on all our social media handles, and keep subscribing to our YouTube channel at The Pregnancy Care Show. Leave in your comments as well. You can follow me on my personal IG page at Dede_Gawu. Thank you for watching today's episode. The show was brought to you by Florence and Spertonic. My name is Dede. See you on another episode.